Welcome back to CIA Declassified. The initial phase of government-funded psychic research launched by Dr. Hal Puthoff at the Stanford Research Institute succeeded in establishing one profound, if controversial, fact. The results were collectively statistically significant. The program had survived its infancy. But for the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, to justify the continuous multi-million-dollar expense of the STARGATE program, they needed more than compelling anecdotes or preliminary laboratory findings. They required a robust, replicable scientific foundation that could withstand external scrutiny, particularly from Congress. After the early team in the program itself transitioned from SRI, the mantle of scientific stewardship fell to Dr. Edwin May, a physicist who became the chief scientist for the entire STARGATE effort for over a decade, primarily operating through Science Applications International Corporation. May's mandate was clear: apply rigorous quantitative measures to what had, until then, been largely qualitative data, transforming the elusive psychic event into a measurable, verifiable data point. May's professional commitment was to physics and statistical mechanics. He was not satisfied with subjective narratives. He was determined to prove to the intelligence community that, despite its inherent variability, the phenomenon was not random noise, but a weak, persistent signal that could be quantified. This scientific approach was exactly what the program needed to survive the mid-Cold War scrutiny. Dr. May and his team understood that the biggest challenge for STARGATE was consistency. The phenomenon itself was mercurial. A viewer could be perfectly accurate one day and entirely wrong the next. May's critical contribution was to argue that consistency in the phenomenon was less important than consistency in the statistical departure from chance. To do this, he refined the methodology into an objective process that relied on numerical ranking by blind judges. A real quote from the SAIC final report on remote viewing research overseen by May in 1995. The analytical methodology consisted of a blind ranking procedure wherein judges ranked the target photo against the remote viewing transcript. This methodology allows for the calculation of a zero score, providing a quantitative measure of performance. End quote. The Z-score became the gold standard. It allowed May's team to state precisely how far the combined results deviated from pure chance. The final official government review of the program, conducted by the American Institutes for Research for the CIA, confirmed the essential finding under May's scientific direction. A quote from a CIA document, An Evaluation of Remote Viewing Research and Applications, 1995, summarizing May's work. Quote, the SAIC researchers, under the direction of Dr. Edwin May, utilized a specific statistical model to assess the significance of the qualitative data, yielding results that departed from chance expectation at a level sufficient to suggest that the phenomenon itself exists, end quote. The sheer volume of data collected and analyzed using these advanced statistical techniques yielded a statistical confidence level that is extremely rare in soft sciences. May successfully demonstrated that over a large number of trials, the hit rate was statistically, significantly, and reliably above what could be achieved by guesswork. This provided the technical justification the DIA needed to keep the doors open for years. The documents confirmed that the overall success, specifically in the laboratory setting, was undeniable in a statistical sense. May had delivered the scientific proof of existence. The problem, however, was that existence didn't equate to reliability. This is where the physics lab met the espionage field, and the conflict was irreconcilable. Dr. May proved statistical validity, but the DIA demanded target correspondence, TTC, actionable accuracy. The DIA's problem was the signal-to-noise ratio. While the statistical results were high, proving non-randomness, the intelligence utility was low because even a successful session often contained irrelevant or incorrect noise alongside the correct signal. A remote viewer might mention water or ships and a large metallic structure. If the target was a submarine base, that's a statistically significant hit. But if the DIA needed to know the specific type of submarine or the exact docking location, the data was useless. This fundamental deficiency was captured in the final government assessment. A real quote, Final CIA Review, 1995, detailing operational utility. Operational intelligence successes were achieved with remote viewing data. though the intelligence acquired was often vague, requiring extensive conventional corroboration, or was contaminated by inaccurate information that was indistinguishable from the correct data, end quote. The report also documented the pervasive problem of the, quote, decline effect, end quote. The initial dramatic successes achieved early in the program, such as those with Pat Price, were incredibly difficult to replicate over time. As the program institutionalized and formalized the procedure, the spectacular results became rarer, even while the overall statistical average remained above chance. Real quote, DIA Internal Memo 1989 discussing program management. The cost per confirmed operational data point far exceeds the cost of acquiring similar data through conventional, reliable intelligence collection methods. The lack of consistency means a high volume of failed tasking must be undertaken before a single useful nugget of information is obtained. End quote. This decision to terminate a program despite statistical success is one of the most unique aspects of the STARGATE history. The final CIA conclusion, based on the error assessment of May's data, boiled down to a pragmatic calculation. Statistical proof of existence was not the same as cost-effective operational utility. The intelligence community simply could not justify the resources. The official conclusion was not that remote viewing was fraudulent, but that it was operationally infeasible. After the program's official termination in 1995, Dr. Edwin May was instrumental in ensuring the historical record was preserved. He was the primary author or editor of the comprehensive scientific reports generated under the SAIC contract, reports that included the raw data and the specific statistical methodologies used to calculate the zero scores. His commitment was to science over secrecy. By making this data public, he ensured that future researchers could analyze the U.S. government's 2 decades of classified psychic research. A real quote from the Declassified research conclusion summarizing the statistical evidence. The evidence suggests that remote viewing is real, but it is not useful for the purposes of intelligence collection due to inconsistency in the low signal-to-noise ratio, end quote. That final start quote summarizes the entire STARGATE experiment: an existence proven, but an application rejected. Dr. May's work provides the critical link between the initial laboratory curiosity and the final quantified and debated judgment of the intelligence community. He left a legacy not of spies, but of complex statistical analysis. Dr. Edwin May spent decades providing the scientific justification for one of the strangest projects in U.S. history. His statistical rigor provided the intelligence community with the data it needed to make its final pragmatic decision. Next time, we go back to the beginning to explore the other half of the original SRI duo, Dr. Russell Targ. While Puthoff focused on the government access and May focused on the statistics, Targ, a laser physicist and an inventor, was the primary operational interface, the man credited with naming and formalizing the remote viewing process itself. We'll delve into Targ's unique perspective, his early groundbreaking successes, and his tireless advocacy for the technology, both inside and outside of the walls of the CIA. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.